Where's Bear?
I don't know. He's on mobile. Let me give him a text. Maybe he can show up late.
Those Californians have no sense of time. They don't know what it means to be on time.
To be fair, it's 10 a.m. for him right now.
Yeah?
We need to get a Yoda emoji. How can we be a Star Wars Discord and not have a Yoda emoji?
Morning Pascal. Can we Star Wars? We don't have a Yoda emoji. Just put a emoji of your Gamorrean mod in.
No.
That'd be nice.
Please, no. I still have nightmares about that thing.
So just kind of preface what we're talking about today. I think I've texted Bear. Hopefully he shows up a little bit later. Hello ISO. Look at everybody trickling in. We got Stud, we got Scout, we got USA representation, we got Great Britain or Get Buff and representation. And then we got Sean coming in who refused to play in the beginning. WJC showed up.
Oh yeah, true, Sean. That is a great Yoda emoji right there.
That's kind of toxic.
Yeah, that's toxic.
That's Sean.
Then there's Quab. I've been on fire lately? I feel like I've been losing lately. But anyway. So we're going to talk about the BFH draft first, which we got Yoda here for that. We can also all kind of chip in because you got two of the tournament organizers here, and then you got Vin, who's actually a captain in it. And then we're also going to talk about, which is something I've wanted to talk about a while because I know I'm very open with my struggles on it in voice comms, and I've gotten better about it. But we're going to talk about player mentality, or the mental in this game, and how this game affects it. So Yoda, we'll kick off with the BFH draft. How was it your guys' idea within BFH, or was it somebody else's? What brought about a draft tournament for, I guess you could say, European Star Wars Battlefront?
Well, obviously we're quite a new community. We started something like August last year, and we really only wanted to make a place for our friends and sort of new people to play matches. And then over time, it just got bigger and bigger. There was the EBC tournament. Obviously, you guys have been running tournaments all year long. And we did think at some point we'd like to do a tournament, but I don't know. We were thinking more maybe next year sometime. And it was actually Slender that came to us with an idea of running a tournament, and he was really, really passionate about it. He'd already thought up lots of the rules and ideas surrounding it. So we thought, yeah, you know what, let's give it a try. Started to put the details together. We decided quite early on that we wanted it to be a draft tournament. And I think the main reason for that is because the tournaments that had been in the winter had been the EBC, which is 3v3 and team entry. And there was the BCL one, which was also team entry, and then the PS2 one, which was class restricted. So we thought it's probably about time for a draft tournament. And it sort of progressed from there.
Okay. I know from talking to Pascal or Slender, and you guys, that Slender's been a huge driving force behind it. How much did he really do? What was it that Slender did for you guys to get this
Honestly,
going?
Slender was invaluable. I mean, he'd already had a rule set put together. Virtually, I mean, every single decision that was made was discussed between at least me and Pascal, or Obi as well. But Slender was involved in everything. So, and we kind of wanted it to be more we wanted to empower him to sort of deliver the tournament that he wanted. So I, as someone who hasn't really run tournaments before, or just hasn't, I wanted to give him a lot of the say in what to do. So yeah, no, Pascal did a lot of the work. And he's been updating the stats almost instantly after every game so far as well.
I have noticed that.
Yeah.
Honestly, so much easier if you do it instantly. If you put it off, then it just builds up and builds up, and you just hate yourself.
Yeah, Vishy looking at you. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, it actually just comes into my next thing I was going to say. Could you give Vishy tips on spreadsheets, because your spreadsheets are absolutely amazing.
Okay, but I mean, first thing I'll say is that I think your spreadsheets are great, but I have some sort of obsession when it comes to, or compulsive compulsion to do with spreadsheets where I will spend far too long on spreadsheets, and they have to look a certain way. They have to have a certain color scheme. I mean, it's not a healthy place to be. Let's just say that.
I mean, Yoda's literally a teacher, so he should have good spreadsheets.
Yeah,
and,
and I'm just making a fun jibe. Vishy has been our I guess you could say stat keeper for over a year now, and he does an excellent job at it. It went from me doing it to we kind of split it to Vishy finally was just like, move aside, get out of here, leave, and I left, and he did a good job. So.
But I think it does add an important aspect to the because I mean there have been tournaments in the past where there haven't been stats recorded, and it's not like, I think in the moment it just adds a little bit extra, but definitely when you're looking back at the tournament, to go back and look at the stats, or when the tournament's finished, to be able to just look at who had the insane performances, to have everything like all in one place. I think that's something that you appreciate more sort of towards the end of the tournament than as you go through it. And obviously, it makes things like the fantasy a lot easier, although, Josh, you're kind of doing that separate to our spreadsheet as well. I think you're sort of doing it straight away as well with your points.
Yeah, I think it's always important to say that stats aren't everything, because it is true. Stats don't ever mean anything or everything in a tournament, but at the same time, stats do showcase a lot of who's doing what and who's playing what role on their team. I think if you stare at stats, it's really easy to say, oh, this guy's doing great and this guy's doing poorly. But if you take the team in context, you could see that somebody's playing a different role to the guy that has the great stats, or vice versa. So at the same time, while stats don't mean everything, I think it's great that we do track them. I remember myself and WoW, we kind of talked about doing like a rating like CSGO, but the simple fact of the matter is we don't have enough stats for that. The rating would be kind of skewed because of the limited info.
Yeah, it's nice to have, and I think just history-wise, it's always good to have a record of all the past tournaments and things like that.
Yeah. One of the things I also kind of wanted to touch on is your guys' map pool is slightly different from ours. We could take maps like Mos Eisley Conquest, for instance, that are in there that we don't use. What was the thought process behind adding those? Were they just like favorites of you guys, or did you guys think they were genuinely good competitive maps? We saw it picked in this last match of this last week with WJC and PWA. So what was kind of the thought process behind that?
So I think our philosophy on the map pool was to try and conceive of, let teams be able to pick a strategy that they want, and to give teams flexibility, and to think about maps and think, well, how viable are they? How fun are they to watch as well? Which is obviously going to be a subjective thing, but we wanted to try and make it a bit broader than perhaps some other tournaments have been, just to make sure that teams can show their strengths. I do think that teams need to be able to play as much as they can. But if they are like really strong in, say, like sniper maps, and there are only 2 sniper maps and they get banned out against them, it is kind of a shame you don't get to see them on those maps. So that's one of the reasons why we brought Felucia in. On top of like Dago and Uta with the traditional like sniper maps. And I guess the same can be said about Conquest, that you want to give teams the flexibility to choose just a different variety of Conquest maps. Yeah, but there wasn't really like a particular, I really like this map, or we just tried to pick out maps that we thought that we could imagine teams playing. And obviously we saw WJC picking Mos Conquest yesterday. And doing pretty well on the second one at least. But so that was the thought process behind it, at least.
It's actually kind of funny because the main reason we haven't put Mos Eisley Conquest in is once specials were left out, we felt like it was too large of a map. It was going to draw out and take too long, and then it would always result in like tickets or something that would end the map. And then the majority of times we've actually seen it picked recently, there's been quite a few times it ends within 3 to 2 minutes, with a few exceptions. But there was another one yesterday that WJC just managed to wipe everybody out and win in like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, I think it was, on the map, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the other Moss in that match was short too, wasn't it?
It was 10 minutes.
A bit longer, but yeah, it's quite short.
8 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there.
I mean, that could also speak to perhaps EU inexperience on Conquest. I don't know, maybe because people don't play it as often. Maybe that means they're not as good at like turtling and sort of get around bases. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, I guess the only problem with Conquest from a tournament point of view, or at least from an organizer point of view, is that it's so difficult to track, which is why the new spectator thing by Nagato is potentially going to change all that, so you can actually see the tickets. But yeah,
it definitely the added information makes it easier to watch. I think the main problem with Conquest is it never really was. It's not that stale of a game mode. It's just very hard to track from the outside, so you can't see all the excitement, if you will.
It's a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest. When I was casting, which game, I think it was your guys' games actually, where you on RVC. I'm not a Conquest player. I haven't played Conquest since like PS2 times. Really, I was finding it really difficult to sort of keep track of who had certain CPs and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly from that point of view, I find it more difficult to cast. But I think to play, I think it adds a lot of value and strategy.
Thank you, Ice, for subbing. You've subbed for 2 months now. You're on a 2-month streak. Really appreciate it, my dude.
God damn.
Scott also brings up an important point that the BFH tournament, a lot of people have been streaming their POVs, like Ice did stream his POV of our match. And it's easy to bring up ticket count there. I know that when the BCL tournaments where we had people stream their POVs, we usually would have the secondary guy go on a browser and keep it up so you could check tickets. The spectator mod will make it easier to just see it in general, but there is that as well. Let's see, what else can we cover here about the BFH tournament? What was so far in the BCL, we've done the very first major was just a straight up group stage between every single team. I think it was 7 weeks in total. Back then, it was a match per week for teams, and then we did the split group with double elimination bracket. You guys are doing a split group, but it's just I think round robin, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's just a round robin that feeds into sort of a playoff, just single playoffs. Yeah.
So, what was the thought process behind the round robin and then single and playoffs? What was it just for time crunch or?
Ideally, we were going to go for a Swiss system, which requires eight teams or 16 teams. We were going for 8. And I don't know for those that don't know, it's sort of you play your first game and then you get split into sort of like 2 groups, the winners and the losers. And then the winners play each other, the losers play each other, and then they get split off into groups. And after 3 games, if you've won your 3 games, you go through to the next round. If you lose your 3 games, you're out. We were going to use it to seed the top 8. So that's what we were really banking on, to try and play with have 8 teams and then try and do a completely different system. And then once we got like so many people sign up, which was really hype, we decided to just go to like a normal group. And I think if we'd have gone like a single group, I think it would have been a bit too unwieldy. We didn't want this to be like a huge group stage. For us, it's more like the playoffs is the focus, and group stage, just by token, you've got all the teams going through to the group stage as well. It's almost like that's where you sort of ramp up and practice in a way, and then it feeds into what we hope is going to be a really, really interesting playoff stage. Yeah.
So why single? I think both times in the BCL we've done double LM. Is it just the time crunch, less time played, or do you just feel like the group stage does its job and then you should just play a single LM playoffs?
No, I do think double LM is more is better overall. I think it's got more storylines you can have through it. But yeah, I think it's more just a time thing, and just wanted to play it safe, really. Just go for a single LM, go for a more like standard kind of tournament, something that's not going to just go on for a long time. Because, and obviously the major last year, you guys did a double LM as well, so wanted to try and get some sort of separation between the tournaments as well. Try and do our own thing.
Yeah, for sure. Is this the only tournament you guys plan to do? Is there more in the future? Will this be a yearly thing? What's the thought process there?
I mean, this could be the one and only, right? Depending on how things go. We haven't really talked about it yet. I think everyone's just sort of taking it a week at a time. And then, once the tournament's done, maybe we'll look about doing something else. But I think we'll certainly leave it for, at least I'm planning on leaving it for a while anyway. But maybe there'll be others that want to try and do something different. I know I've talked to Obi and to Slender briefly about maybe doing like a shorter tournaments, almost like a weekend tournament, rather than doing like a full fixture type thing. But we haven't really looked at details on that.
I do think that we do lack for those type of tournaments. I mean, obviously the player pool would probably be a bit smaller. I don't know how much smaller it would be due to who has available on the weekend and not. But a weekend style tournament would be really interesting, because you see in modern esports or competitive games, they're never month-long processes. Usually it's just a weekend thing. So yeah, I think that would be kind of cool.
I think that the weekend thing allows you to have more, maybe I wouldn't say like less popular, but you know, you could do like a 1v1 tournament. You could do
like
yeah, exactly, yeah, something like that, where if it were to go on for too long, you'd just sort of get bored of it. But for like a day tournament or a weekend tournament, there's the kind of novelty of it, which I think people would hopefully appreciate.
Okay. We are only 2 weeks in. I don't think we've seen a sample size is probably still kind of small overall, but it's based off the sample size. And if you were to do it again, like next year or something like that, what would you change so far, if there is anything?
I think at the moment there's nothing that really stands out to me that I would necessarily change. I think we've got to just wait for it to play a bit longer. The teams in my mind, they look fairly even to me. I think they're in a good spot. I think the games that we've had so far, there've been lots of close games. I think that's a good sign. So I guess we're just gonna wait and see, and time will tell just how the tournament progresses. But yeah, for the moment, fine with how it's gone.
Let the teams organize them. 1 week is way too short.
Yeah. I think maybe needs like a month. Maybe we'll have one game per month. Nice.
Oh my!
That was one thing that we did consider, maybe having not less or fewer games per week, but actually having maybe you play 2 games a week. But I think the difficulty just comes, obviously. Lots of us are either working or we've got commitments, and when you've got NA and EU players, it does become more difficult. Which is one of the reasons why we did 1 game per week. But it could have been an option to do more, or at least give teams the chance to do more. Perhaps.
Zemo, everybody that is on the teams in the individual channels have access. Like every single team member has access. So if you're, what team are you on again?
Everyone in the group chat instead of just captains.
It's not just captains.
What does it mean?
Yeah, it's not just captains in the channels now. Everybody on the teams have access to those channels.
I think the confusion is that they're locked, but like the tournament organizers aren't locked. So, and a lot of the captains are tournament organizers, so they can like talk in there.
But that's also the choice of the teams, though. I think that they just choose to do. I haven't had any issues scheduling personally, but that's just me. I think, but also I think our team's pretty flexible on when we can play.
I mean, Zemo, first the FPS thing and now this. I mean, come on.
But she just chiming in with "damn it."
I mean, for me as a captain, like the reason why I tend to like ask my team, whether they can make something or not is. If I see Phil's joining. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there he is.
I like to know like what's going on. Rather than just saying like at everyone else, like, can you guys like comment on when you can do? I prefer to start organizing myself, but then I am a bit of a control freak. So I think as long as people are posting in the channels, trying to meet the deadlines is not too much of a problem.
The hell just happened to the overlay? Okay. Well, don't be shy, Bear. You're an admin.
Hi.
Hello.
I didn't know if you guys had changed subjects yet, so I didn't want to hop in.
No, you can still talk, though. You can give input. We're just talking about the BFH draft. I don't think you're in it. Why is... I've lost the couch. Oh, is that the couch? I think that's...
Doesn't look like the couch.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Vishy.
Actually, that's an interesting question now that Villain is here. Is how do you feel about like kind of server rules for EU tournament when you're a West Coast player? Because you do get some NYC playtime if you were to sign up, but I know that guys like Stud, Nightwing, and Zemo are just in a rough spot for EU tournaments. How did you kind of feel about server rules? What do you feel is like fair for you and stuff like that?
I thought looking at, I mean, I didn't take a whole lot of time to analyze it, but the breakdown they had, the way they designed it, it looked like pretty well thought out. I mean, when we're dealing with a community that is as small as this and so spread out, it's just going to be kind of a thing that we have to do.
Yeah,
So we're going to have to just, I mean, we have a very, very active EU community even in our Discord, so it's kind of inevitable. It'd be great if we could all be more centralized, but
there we go. All right.
It looks like they really tried to consider everybody and everywhere, whereas not every other tournament has done that as much. So, yeah, playing on London or NYC, it sucks, but
I'm struggling.
I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, that's kind of, we all know you had time to look and read the rules before you signed up. So.
And I'm glad that you did, because not everyone did, as we found out a few days after they signed up. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
EU players more than NA players, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that always is something that happens. I think the difficulty really will be with that. Probably you guys probably have the largest mix that we've ever had in a tournament, and scheduling is probably the most difficult thing, which is why I didn't sign up. Really, that was the only reason.
Yeah, scheduling has been tricky, particularly for like USA with like Stud and Ace, with that, and Nightwing as well, and WJC. So yeah, scheduling is difficult. I can understand if you don't want to, add to that as well. But yeah, it is difficult, as you say. I mean, thankfully, BCL do a great job with their tournaments, and there are frequent tournaments. So at least there's a chance for a more NA kind of focused tournament, pretty much like every quarter or something like that of the year.
Ben, you can talk in voice. You don't have to type in Twitch chat.
I don't think you should type that in, or say that in voice, though.
Probably not, but you could give input if you want.
Twice as loud as everyone else.
I turned you down. You might be quieter now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I turned myself down too, so maybe that was...
Did you just wake up?
No, I've been up. I was having breakfast.
You sound like you're sick or something.
Cup of coffee. No, it's just my morning voice. Zemo said it. Yeah.
I guess
I don't know. My voice always sounds like scratchy and deeper.
Ah, there's the lovely voice of Vendetta.
Hello. I was just listening to Yoda's voice.
Yeah. Having a
crisp,
good time.
right?
Super crisp.
Is there anything else we kind of wanted to cover about BFH? Is there anything you want to mention specifically, Yoda, or is there?
Just thanks to the tournament organizers for casting the games and helping everything run smoothly. Stay tuned. I think by the end of the groups, I think we'll have a better idea of who the strong teams are. I mean, yours has just been popping off like insanely.
Absolute
so
budget
far.
pick in fantasy.
Absolutely insane guy.
Imagine listening that man under $500.
Yeah, exactly.
$550.
Or under 600.
I was off by $50. My bad.
But Quad wants you to hype it why though. So why though? We're going to win the tournament. But anyway,
why though?
No, I think yeah, exactly, Trevor. Yeah, I think Travis, you said that there's not been a draft tournament where coming out of groups you can't it's clear who's going to win. So that's what I'm curious about, if there is going to be someone coming out who just looks like super dominant, or if there's going to be like a set of teams.
It's actually kind of insane that I think this is one of the more even ones we've actually had. Obviously, I think the one that you could probably point to right now is USA. USA started off with, I think, a 9-0 start in their first match, and they haven't played since, so we don't know if that was just a team matchup or not. But the team that they 9-0'd went on to nearly beat Slender's team. They were 8-10 in flags. So I think that it's dependent on USA's next few games on how strong they actually look overall.
I think that's definitely true. The only thing I would say is that SI wasn't their strongest lineup. But yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, USA, they've got a strong team, and they've got the split solos, which is going to help into all the EU teams. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought USA was one of the strongest teams from the draft, but they haven't versed a strong half EU team. So if they do really well against a well organized EU team and they cap flags, all they need to do is cap flags. They don't need to win the map. If they can cap flags, enough flags, they could definitely be a favorite.
I think we need to see more DFR too. DFR looked good versus PWA. It'll be interesting to see them in there.
I mean, yours is just playing absolutely insane, and you guys went really close against them. On Dago.
I honestly expected, I really expected this with PWA. I think Jules is, I think maybe lack of exposure and more playtime on other games. He's kind of an underrated player. He's insane. He is absolutely disgusting with aim. So I'm looking forward to see PWA too. So. Aside from USA's strong start and waiting to see them play against other teams, I don't think there is a super clear favorite yet. I think even you could say kneel before the crown, even though we had a pretty decisive match, except for the last map. I think that they'll come back and do much better in future matches too.
Yeah, and I think they match up a lot better into EU teams. They've got 3 NA players, and that means they're going to play on NYC for their map, so they've got the advantage there. And then they've got Kevin Runaway, who can easily carry EU game, London game on his own.
I've heard that man's been doing insane things in scrims, so...
There's a clip yesterday.
I heard he dropped...
which is disgusting.
I heard he dropped 61 on one map versus Slender's team in a practice scrim.
Yeah, so he's mad. You guys made him mad.
No, that was before we played him. That's why we banned Dago.
Okay.
Oh, man. Okay, well...
61 on any map is just insane.
It's actually even on a map that you like that people expect you to do well on. That's just disgusting.
61's like hopping in a pub server and farming.
Runaway walks in. This is a good pub.
Fuck.
Yeah, after the match, Kevin was just like, "All right, when does the match start? I'm done warming up."
we should stop being toxic to Slender. Slender did try his
Slender
hard
also popped off too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing is he did it against someone who was also popping the fuck off. So
I think that's something that makes a tournament more exciting is during the draft tournament when you have a bunch of champion players, like guys that just are insane players in and of themselves on each different team. Yeah. You're gonna see a lot of just crazy matches.
Yeah, I think that I think we got it. We don't, I guess, give appreciation enough to our great players that do sign up for draft because I know there's a bunch of them that don't because the amount of pressure it puts on them. But for the guys that do, you cannot give you enough praise. You create so many great matches to watch just because of how insanely good you are at this game, and facing off against other players of similar skill level. It is so fun to watch. So, yeah.
You're welcome, Cayman.
Shut up, guys.
Okay, disconnect this kid.
I'm literally outperforming you in the tournament. You're not doing your job.
Are you?
Yes.
Bird, you heavy?
But I think from there...
That's mean everything. Hashtag Cayman.
I'm second in total deaths. I think Mutane's first.
I think from there we can move on to the second topic, which is something I've already mentioned when we started the show. I wanted to talk about a lot for those that are just getting here. I think people know my struggles with mentality and mental on this game because I'm not a very quiet person. And I think that we can just in general talk about it as a whole on this podcast, and even the chat can chime in if they want to, or talk show, whatever you want to call it. But we'll talk about player mentality, the mental in the players, and the effect that this game has on it specifically. For those who do not know, not that it is a very small secret, ISO made a very long post saying that he's losing the fun of the game. There's a lot of issues that he has with it, or something along those lines, and that he's going to basically be retiring after the BFH draft. He'll still play in regular scrims and stuff, but competitively, he doesn't want to play the game anymore. When I was reading that, it's a very sad moment for our community as a whole. But reading it, I definitely, I don't know what the word is here. Like I could feel that. Like I've struggled as a player a lot with
sympathy,
having fun on this game. Because the problem that this game has in its late age is that you have those champion styles or even diamond. You could even consider some of the plats, maybe like Stud, for instance, who's been climbing the ladder like if there's nothing in his way.
He's diamond now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about like when he started. That just keep climbing the ladder like there's nothing in their way. It's kind of disheartening when you've been putting so much time into this, and you feel like you're struggling still down in the middle tier, the middle tier of the player pool, or even lower if you feel like you're having trouble advancing. So I definitely felt a lot of what he was saying at the time. You could even say the same for Ven. Ven, you started off being heralded as like this diamond player, and then suddenly you're a plat or worse. we have plenty of voice lines for you from that. So I think it's just something that's good to talk about because I don't think it's talked about a lot at all, really. People are just kind of told to keep going or figure it out themselves. I think for the most part, you get some help, but that's about it. So, who wants to start us off with talks about it?
I guess I can. So there's different amounts of competitive levels, as we all know, to video games. I would like to say, like, for me, this has been one of the lighter ones coming back. Like you mentioned, when I came back 2 years ago to the game, and I was put in a rank where I didn't feel like I belonged, and I had this drive within me to just keep on going and show you guys that I was diamond, and I did do that. And then I came back, I went away again, and just recently we just started the new rank ladders. And again, I felt like I was, put somewhere I didn't belong. And you guys see me every weekend. I play ranked, just to put myself back into diamond, so I could prove to you guys that, that's where I should be. I feel like for our ranked scrim system, it's rough because, the sentence that always pops up is, look at your games. If it's 50%, that's where you belong. But obviously, when you look at the stats of the game, it doesn't tell the whole story, and that's something that we don't have because of how old the game is. So for the guys who are climbing and grinding every weekend just to climb up, it is a difficult ranked ladder to climb up, compared to other ones like, say, League of Legends or Overwatch or any other game. Honestly, because there's more data, they have a bigger structure, so that there's better elo equated to the player because it tracks certain things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys who just like me, who are struggling 5 points up, 5 points down. I mean, you could talk about me and Ryan yesterday, where we had these epic games, and then we'd lose a match in like 20 minutes. The next after we just played an epic match together, or against each other. So yeah, it does hurt. I think one of the biggest things is you got to look at it like a professional athlete. How they play game by game. Like if they're all those players that are interviewed that won championships, they talk about just taking it game by game, and right after that next game's done, you have to put it aside. Like you can't bring it with you to the next game, and that's something that's so very true. Yesterday, perfect example. I think it was the game Studmuffin got diamond. Congrats again. He was playing against me, and our team was putting up a really good fight. And the last map was Mos Eisley, and there was like a disconnect from Studmuffin, so we had to restart the map. And then I think it was like Lucas, who his game crashed or something like that. And we had to wait 20 minutes. And we had to wait 20 minutes for the last map to start. And we were Rebels on Empire. And started off strong. I was like, okay, I'm about to score this really quick flag. And, the team doesn't defend well. It makes a huge error. And Empire goes to score, and Rebels don't cap the flag. And we were right there about to score. And then they quickly snowball off that, and they score another one. And the morale is entirely down. And, it's basically a loss. It's a loss of a game. And, like, the whole team, you heard it in our voices, like we just worked so hard the last 3 maps just for it to be blown away in 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it was really disheartening. Like you felt it, like it settled in, and then you know we lost, and we jumped straight. All of us jumped straight right into a ranked game again, and we wound up, you know, doing really well. And I don't think we were all on the same team, but there was no effects of it from the next game, and that's something I'd like to like congratulate this community on, because there's been a lot of players who struggled with that in the past, who don't like act as poorly as they used to in big competitive matches or ranked scrims. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's not something that we really have here that often compared to other games. Like I used to play League of Legends and Overwatch every day, 10 hours a day, climbing those rank ladders. Like that was my rank competitiveness. And I had to quit both games because of the communities, and like there would come to points where like my blood would boil, and like I would like seriously get delusional for a second, and I'd be like, I can't breathe. And that's when you kind of knew like, hey, like I kind of need to stop playing this game because it's just not worth it. Because when you get to a certain level, you expect your teammates to do what you're able to do. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of just toxicity out there that you honestly don't deal with inside of here. So that's why I enjoy playing ranked scrims in here. And it doesn't make me as competitive as I was in those games, but am very, very competitive. Obviously, I want to win every game.
Yeah, man, you
But
can hear
it's
it when
it's a
you're
different,
playing with him.
yeah, it's a different level. And um, for
Well,
those,
I think the big
yeah,
difference is that you know everybody, you know, and
Yeah, I was
the
about to say
toxicity
that.
that you get from those communities is because they just say it to some random avatar. They don't even know who it is,
Mhm.
and they just say the most messed up things.
I don't. It doesn't even have to be about what they say, like to you. It just has to be like how
Constant
they act,
onslaught.
or like how they perform in game. And I think that's honestly only happened one time to me. I haven't tilted in such a long time, but there was one time I tilted recently, and it was in this game, and it happened to be Pro Slayer, and I think it was a rank scrim. It was a rank scrim match, and it was a game where it was very close knit, fine margins, and you know we all want to win this rank scrim, obviously, and he wasn't putting in or making the right choices in the match. And when you talk to him and you tell him, do this instead, or go for this instead, it's kind of like, he doesn't really care, and he makes up his own decision, and it's not the right one for the team, and it costs you. And I think that was the one time I tilted in ranked scrims. And like it was that kind of like um it was those kind of things that bothered me in the other games, where like, you know, say you're playing League of Legends and you're playing top lane, and the person you're going up against is like, uh we'll say Darius. Everybody know Timo counters Darius, but he's
Yeah.
so you pick somebody who counters into Darius. You have that option, but then you decide to not pick somebody that counters into Darius, and you get stomped top lane because you don't pick a counter, and then you blame everybody because this is that's you did what you did.
I just
You know,
I just want to say, just before this starts going on in chat, anything what Vin just said was not toxic at all. But I think people need to understand what the difference is between being toxic and being critical. That was not toxic at all. Vin could have laid into Pro Slayer. He could have been rude to Pro Slayer. He could have done all sorts of things. Instead, he just mentioned that he felt like his decisions were not best for the team, and I think that's perfectly fine. There was no toxicity in that at all.
I mean, just to go into my thoughts on this, I mean, I'm a very competitive person as well, similar to Ven. And the issue that I've got with the game, I love the game, and I would play it pretty much all the time if I could. But I've got to temper my competitivity or competitiveness with real life. And obviously my job, I'm a teacher, it is very stressful at times. And sometimes I can't be as competitive as I like, or if I'm tired. Dave says I'm the biggest.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, in Dave's experience, it's true. But I mean, I'll just mention what Dave says. Like in KJC, I mean, there was a time earlier this year where I think so. The EBC tournament with KJC, we would just go into it like thinking, whatever happens, let's just play it and have fun. And we actually found out, you know what, we're not completely terrible at this game. We're actually okay and we can improve and so on. And then we were playing at NYC and Obi had his problems with Vodafone, as a lot of German players. And over time, I don't know, I just became disillusioned. I couldn't put the hours in that I wanted to. We weren't playing that as well as a team. And then came the PS2 tournament, which is where Dave came in. And he got like peak tilt Leoda at that point. And I mean, it is difficult. Like sometimes when you're tired and you don't really want to play, or you get to the point where you convince yourself you don't really want to play, but you've got to play. It just creates this kind of like toxic kind of environment. But I think in terms of mentality, what you've got to do and what you've got to try to do is to try and focus on what you can do and your own actions. And this is what's really difficult. It's like when Ben was talking about League, I used to play AD carry, and the other AD carry would have the jungler in their lane all the time, but you can't think like that. You got to think, what can I do different? What am I doing wrong here? And if you've got someone in your team who you think's not playing the way you can, all you can do is just make your suggestion, and if they ignore it, then you just gotta. Unfortunately, you got to suck it up, and I think that's why it's difficult when you got a small community, because when you go next in like League or something, you're not going to see the people that you're up against or your teammates or whoever. You're just going to see random players. But obviously in this small community, you're going to be playing with the same people against the same people. And I think it's hard to balance that like competitiveness. And, everyone wants to win in a game, right?
Yep.
But there are some people who are willing to study what they're doing or willing to think about what they're doing. And there are some people that aren't, which is fair enough. They just want to win in the moment. Besides that, they want to just do other things. And I think that kind of change in mentality is going to conflict, and it can conflict over like several games, and then it can just come to a head, and then you can get like what Pookie calls what is it called, heated gamer moments.
Yeah, heated gamer moments. The Pook special, trademarked, by the way. I also, just because I see the definition or what ranked is, and it's being thrown around a lot about what it's about and what it should be. Ranked, the initial idea behind ranked scrims, actually Dark Rider at the time, who was a much bigger fixture in the community, was on our staff, and I think he was, and this was an EBC, was still active and everything. He came to me that said that the game felt like it was dying out. He was getting a lot of people agreed with him that there needed to be another area of competitiveness, because at the time we were just doing the draft tournament only, and that was it. Ranked scrims were just to simply, you could, if you know what CSGO pugs are, or any other Call of Duty 8s or something like that, if you know what they are, that's what it is. It's just meant for a place for supposedly competitive play, which is why we have the rules about comms and other stuff like that in place outside of tournaments. Which is also why they're on a time slot, because we also want just regular scrims to happen where people that feel like they're not as good can fit in. Because I think that people put too much pressure on themselves in ranked scrims on a win or a loss. I think that I used to do the same. And caring about the rank. I think a lot of people think that they need to be a certain rank, or they need to improve this, at the snap of a finger. And I think that you guys just gotta, it's gonna sound cliche, but you gotta play the game and analyze your mistakes. I as a player recently I focused on how I play individually and how good I am doing, as opposed to the outer factors of the game, the win or the loss, or what my rank is, or what my team is doing around me. Because I struggled with it a lot. I was very much focused on, I need to win this, I need to rank up, I shouldn't be down in gold, I should be higher. And at this point, I'm still losing ranked scrims, but I think I'm a better player because I pay attention to how I play. And and analyze where I make mistakes and try to break bad habits and just make better decisions. I think a lot of the things that people can blame on tanking or this game lagging, I think you can go back and look at it and you can realize that if you just made a decision better, like 1 or 2 steps behind, you wouldn't have put yourself in that situation where you had to hit the shot that was tanked.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, then you go.
Go ahead, Yoda. Go ahead.
I was just going to say quickly, yeah. I mean, it's like in game, you do something stupid, and then you die because of it, and you go like, "Oh, that was luck" or whatever. But if you were to like rewind just like 10 seconds, well, why was it in a situation where someone could one shot you? It's because your positioning was bad, or because you didn't see them coming, or maybe you didn't calm something. And I think it's so easy to get into this mindset of outcome based, win loss, whether you kill them or they kill you, sort of analysis. And I think if you want to really improve, you need to sort of think of things more holistically and start to think about, where are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What could I focus on? Like in this scrim, I'm going to look at trying to improve this aspect. I'm going to try and keep, calming positions or something like that, rather than saying in this scrim, I'm going to try and win, try and be a little bit more specific and then maybe try and work through. But as I said earlier, that's not going to be the same for everyone because not everyone's trying to improve to the same extent. Some people are just trying to have fun every game and try and win each game rather than to try and actually improve as a player.
I think Doves mentioned it to me a long time ago, but if you focus on yourself and how good you're doing, the wins will follow. And I think that I could address what's going on in chat, but I'll leave it be. It's not that black and white to say you can't call somebody out with 30 plus viewers. We have a Discord of over 100 people and people call each other out as they feel like. But anyway, because I've recently been focusing on trying to reinvent how I play the game. I think I used to be, I think it's no shortage of a meme at this point that I have twitchy aim. People watch my point of view and my aim twitches a lot. Especially when I'm trying to aim at somebody. I think the most evident is on Wiki when I'm using crossbow. My aim twitches a lot. And I've been trying to play slower and focus on because I'm a big thinker type person. I'm very methodical, and I've been trying to play slower and place myself in good situations as opposed to just running in, if you will. I used to be very much trying to get into the fight, and I just try to stay back and play like how I should play, I think, for how I am as a player, and put myself in an 80-20 scenario instead of a 50-50 or even something that disadvantages me. I think that's the reason I've been playing well lately. I think Quabity's mentioned it, and now Studs mentioned it as well. I don't think I'm playing good enough yet. I think I have a long way to go. So I'm trying to stay humble about it, but I am also very happy that it's helped a lot. And I think that also helps you with mentality, is if you're just focusing on what you do wrong. If you think you're too aggressive, or you think that your skill level doesn't match up to how you're trying to play the game, change how you try to play the game. Focus on changing it as opposed to we're down 3 flags, or we're down in tickets, we're down to 1 base. Try and play the scenarios better and focus on improvement. Because I think the number one issue with people is they get too wound up in where they are in the map, or how the game's going, or how many deaths they have. And I think that if you can just get past that, it's hard to do. I can vouch for it. I'm sure many people in this voice channel have heard me in mid-game. It's very hard to do, but I think that if you can, you'll do a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with like the last 2 big paragraphs Cayman had said. One to where I let Yoda speak after, and then just now. There's a thing people ask me, like, when you're up in a 1-on-1, like how do you always win? How do you always shift things to your favor? And every time I give somebody like the exact same answer. I say whenever I'm in a fight, I tell them to play at their own pace, to control the pace of the game. And so what I mean by that is, like, back when I came back in January, I had that conversation with, I think it was Doves and Cayman, and you guys like just asked how I play now, and I was just like, hey, I'm just W keying in, just having fun. And going back to now ranked scrims is like I want to go back to being the best, or like that's what I strive for. I keep trying to get better and better and better every week, and doing what actually Cayman said. So like everybody pay attention, rewind, go back to what he said, because it's perfect. Like that's what you should strive to do. And now going back to playing at your own pace is like when you get upset, people usually tend to play faster. They think less, and they just wind up dying more. Obviously, you want to stay away from that. So playing at your own pace is, we'll say Stud Muffin for example. When he came back to Star Wars, um, he was way worse than what he is now. Now he's like excelling, and like Ace said in the chat, he took a week to play sniper in pubs just to get himself better at sniper, and that was excellent. And he also changed the way he played engineer and the way he faces people. Back when I was playing in January, when I came back after a break, I was just hoping my registration hit, and that was it. And I would obviously complain more about registration. Now you don't really hear me complain about it, because of the way I play now. I changed my style up again, and um, going back to change of pace. Like say when Sudden Rifle came back, we're always rank scrimming each other. It's always me against him every week. And I noticed now when he comes up facing me, if he has extra time to battle me, he'll slow the game down because he'll know I'll go and attack him no matter what. Like that's just how I am. I'm hyper aggressive, and sometimes I get too hyper aggressive, and he just waits, and he just goes to throw 2 debts at me. If the first one doesn't work, he's not willing to shoot. He'll throw another debt. But I'm playing now at his pace because he's putting me on his clock, and he's slowing his clock down. So I'm not moving with the clock. So I'm obviously going to die. But if he tries to go hyper aggressive against me, and we have a battle, I'm going to win out because I usually play at that pace. So, say you're going against a 3v1, you kind of want to picture how you're going to fight people as they come at you. And you have to also look at their names as well. That's another level. So, yeah, like Cayman said, going back to his topic, honestly, just keep improving, and, you'll climb up eventually. Like, don't rush anything. Like, yeah, I would have loved to already been diamond, but I'm okay with taking that grind all the way up, together with you all. Like I posted a clip this morning of one of my matches yesterday with Baron Red, Quabity, and Ice, and like I went back to watch it, and I was like, this is perfect. Like this is beautiful. Like this is what every ranked scrim should be. It was like a tournament match in a ranked scrim. The comms were great. The kills were great. Everybody was covering each other, and we wanted up to cap a major important flag. And like that happens often in these ranked scrims. So like I'm always happy to see it when it happens because everybody is improving every week. Like shout out to Quabity. The man's been playing only a couple of months, and he's improved so much. You know what I mean? I think he's been like Zim West, who's the most improved player over the past few weeks at ranked scrimming, week in week out. I think it's Quab. You know what I mean? I think he's been excellent from where he came from. Like they said, Cayman having an awesome week. So yeah,
I think it's actually a good shout out for Quab. I remember when I ran into him in BFH, he has come a very long way from where he is, or where he was, I should say. So, Bear, Dubs, you're kind of quiet. Anything you guys want to
add? We've kind of split off topics, I guess, and from like, I guess somewhat related, but
Bring it back on topic.
Yeah.
we like originally it was like mentality, tilting, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, I think I've said this to a few people in DMs maybe before, but there's like 4 main things that you can rage at, right? And one of them is yourself, and then your teammates, and then lag, and then the enemy team. And for me, playing with people who rage at themselves or lag or the enemy team, like I don't care. It can be annoying sometimes in the background. But it's one thing, but I think the biggest thing for most people is when someone is flaming their own teammates. It's when it gets when people really start to feel bad about themselves and feel like uncomfortable, and they just
Yeah.
are in an awkward spot because there's a lot of like how did you guys not get that kill, or like what are you guys doing, like how could we lose that fight? And when you just lost a fight, like someone tanks a shot, right? then they one-shot you, and then someone and your teammate goes, "Dude, how did you lose that fight?" And you're like you're already tilted, and then your teammate's flaming you. So it's just a thing of like just making sure that you're trying to support your team and that everyone like feels comfortable on the team. I think is one of the biggest things that people can improve on in this community because this game is tilting. Like we all know how insanely tilting this game is, and there's so many different factors to get tilted at in this game. And your teammates are supposed to be your teammates, right?
Yeah.
And just making sure that when things are going badly, that you're there to support them um, instead of just kind of getting angry at them is one of the biggest things for me.
Shout out to Vin and
Um,
Dubs, by the way. I think those two are one of the top two to have on a team that do that.
Yeah, like I think like my last few rank scrims, like my individual level was pretty trash, right? I was not playing well, but if you can be there just on the map supporting your team, still making good decisions and helping them play their best, you can still come away with wins even if you're yourself not having a bad day. But if you're having a bad day and then you're letting that get to you and you're letting that tilt your team, then everything's just going to go down and you just end up with this like horrible scrim experience. And it's just this is an awkward thing that nobody really wants to be in because this community, like we said before, this community is small. It's it's really easy for somebody in league to just flame some guy on their team and then you'll never see them again. You never have to worry about who is that person. But um, on this community, it's different. And fuck, there was something else I want to say. I'm trying to think of it. Uh,
Just want to also give a shout out. Bugsy's in chat right now. It's good to see him. Glad he's here.
Bugsy.
Wait, I just forgot it. Crap.
Bears,
I remembered it for a
anything,
split second.
Bears, is there anything you wanted to talk about or say?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of. You guys have kind of all touched on the different things that I'd be saying. Is like, I know, and I'm sure everybody in the community knows that I've kind of struggled at not tilting at times. I lag and I complain about it, and I always have to try and. It's a constant battle to try and tell myself, "Hey, dude, shut up!" Like nobody wants to hear you complain. Like it's distracting. You're not giving comms out to help the team out. It distracts from that just gameplay in general. It can bring the team's attitude down. Like Dove said, yeah, it can be annoying as long as you're not flaming your teammates. But at the same time, hearing any kind of complaining, it's not constructive to your team at all. And so everybody has problems, and yeah, you're like, God damn it, Ven one shot me again. Like, yeah, Ven's gonna one shot you. Just you can complain once or twice, but after that, you gotta stop. It's gonna happen. It's the game. And so sometimes it's just I realize that I shouldn't be playing. Like if I'm in a bad mood or whatever's happening, is like I can't play right now. Like I need to get off. And maybe people in the community need to start considering that. If you're having a rough time and you're not able to keep good attitude, you need to take a break. I know I've done that myself, and I have individually messaged people and said, hey, maybe you need to go take a walk or do something like that. And it usually helps. And so I'm happy to do that, but I think people need to start doing that on their own. Just becoming a little more, recognizing when that's happening. But really also the other thing, kind of what Ven and Dove said is like, even Ven was saying every match, it's like, it's a different one. You can't take it with you. I try and even look at it as every single map.
Yeah, I think
as a new one.
is
Like you lose the map. Like, okay, let's get the next one. And I might have just said, God damn it, right at the end of the map. But then I'll go, okay, take a deep breath, and I'll try and say something positive to my team. If we just did really well, like the other day, we almost clutched a second cap in the last. We had half a second more, and Stud would have gotten a cap in on Mos Eisley. And so I just tried to hype up the team. It was like, shit, that was so close. Okay, guys, let's go. We got the next one. Like, let's do this. And it's just kind of like, that's your opportunity to do a small mental reset, fix your attitude, and not think about if you just lost or if you just won. Keep keep that momentum going. Yes, we did, but we had a good time, Stud, didn't we? We still, I mean, it was a good match.
I think that's a good point to like talk about for like just in between maps, keeping your team up is good. I actually had a recent rank scrim with Sev where it's actually versus Doves in the voice channel where we lost the first Mustafar conquest pretty one-sided. We kind of had a decent start, but it fell away fast, and Sev was just like, hey, it's still winnable, let's keep going, we can do this. And then we won the next two maps. It ended up being a tie scrim overall, but it's those little things that you can say in between maps that can keep your team going even after a lost map that are huge. And I think another one that you kind of touched on with walking, I think exercising just in general really helps you with your mentality. I think that's also another thing I can attribute to like how much better my mentality's been is just I like for Friday, for instance, for work, we had a couple lines back in the woods that we needed to go check. I went and walked like 4 or 5 miles of trails, and I felt really fucking good at the end of the day. And I was like, yeah, let's go rank scrim. I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna have fun. So I think the exercising cannot be understated, that it helps a lot too.
Yeah, exercising, guys, just in general, is really, really good for your mental health. So if you're not doing it, do it.
Yeah, it releases all those endorphins, stress endorphins.
One thing
yeah, I was gonna say
that I wanted to touch on was so I think you guys like kind of touched on this, is hyping up like your own team. Is when your teammate gets a triple kill, like say I'm playing with Van, right? And Van gets a triple kill, big triple kill. Do I need to hype him up? He's hyped as fuck already on his own. Like he just got a triple kill. The time that you need to help your teammates hype them up the most is when they're getting farmed in their spawn, right? They just had a bad map. That's when you need to try to bring your team up the most. It's the hardest to do because everyone's just kind of silently frustrated, right? Or maybe not silently frustrated, but being that guy to just when everyone's down to try to just bring people back it's one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the most impactful things to do. And when your team, when your team's hyped up, yeah, it's like it's fine. Like it's not a bad thing, of course, to say, oh, nice, man, nice triple kill, let's go. But it's when you're getting shit on that you kind of need to. Somebody needs to step up, and somebody needs to go. All right, guys, come on, we're fine. Let's go. Let's bounce back in the game. We're fine. It's only a map or two. We can still come back, and it's hard to do because people are everyone's frustrated. Everyone's had their rough times during that map, but it's just something that is so valuable if you can do it.
I mean, at the same time, though, I think it's kind of like a personality trait. I don't know. There are some people who are just quieter people, and whether they'd be able to take that role, I don't know. But I always think like the least you can do is to just keep making calls, even if you sort of, even if you're like really, really tilted and annoyed, and you want to go quiet. I think the least you can do is just keep calling, keep saying where people are, just keep doing the basics, focus on the basics, and focus on at least giving people the information. If you're in a team where people are not really following what each other's saying, you don't want to don't become part of the problem by sort of just going quiet and sort of accepting it. Because I mean, I've been in games before where things can just turn around. Like someone can get like a hype flag score or whatever, and then it just sort of turns the whole thing around. You got to try and keep on calming when things are bad. And if you are that kind of personality type, like I would say that I can be, to try and be that person that says, come on guys, we can do this. I mean everyone can think of players that they play with that just make them feel good. Like I mean, I've played with No Way a few times, and he's just like super positive all the time, always thinking we can do this, we can turn this around, and so on. So if there is that kind of person, just play off them. But if you're not that kind of person, I think you just got to try and keep doing the basics and then just focus on your own game, I guess.
I do think that that's something that you can practice. Like, and also is like just not raging is if you go into a match constantly like on your mind, you've got like, okay, I'm gonna try to stay calm. If something goes badly, I'm just gonna try to suppress my rage that's gonna come out. I'm just gonna try to stay focused. I'm gonna really work on that. If you come into a game like that and you just keep that up for a few months, you're gonna see a huge improvement. We've all played with Clone, Fluffy, and every year. How many times have you ever heard these guys rage? Like, do you think these guys don't get tilted? And yet you've never heard any of them rage, right? And it's actually so amazing. Just like how calm did these guys have been throughout their entire career? I mean, I know that Neveryear doesn't play too much, and Fluffy hasn't played a lot in a while, but the three of them combined have an insane amount of scrim time, and the fact that I don't know if I could find one rage grip from the three of them combined. Is kind of insane. So
Yeah.
if you just come into the game thinking, I'm just gonna stay calm, I'm gonna focus, I'm not gonna rage, I'm gonna do my best to suppress it every time. It'll come to you eventually. It's
I
not
think-
easy, but you'll get there.
I think it's also a good shout out to players that can turn negativeness into kind of like they get up from it really quick, if that makes sense. I don't know how to describe it. I think Zemo's one of those players where he gets up from negativity really fast. But I think that those types of players too are really invaluable to have on their team that just don't let it get to them for that long. Because they can be the guy that turns the team around just because that they might feel that negativity, but they get up from it instantly and start trying to be positive again.
I mean, the hardest thing in the game, right, is when the most unfair thing happens to you, and you're like, you want to just scream, and you just say like, blah 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 at towers or whatever. You just make the call. Like I've seen it on people's streams. Like I've seen it on Dove's stream where something really unfair happens, and he just doesn't say anything. He just keeps playing and makes the call of like where the enemy is. And I think that's something that is really difficult. But just not adding that negative voice, like Dove's saying and you're saying, can be important.
I guess we can kind of talk about that. I think we'll wait till the end of the topics, but I guess that's a question we can kind of talk about a little bit.
One thing, going off what Dove said before, I think a great example of a person like that, a person who's actually trained themselves to be different over comms, is Ryan. I know we all said he was a person who, lost his ability to play. Like if he loses control or he gets upset, I think over the last couple of months, and it's shown in his ranked scrims based off also what Cayman brought up before, just working on it.
Yeah.
He's worked on it so much that like yesterday he was on like a 3-game loss streak, and I happened to be on his team for one of those games instead of against him, and we were down for majority of the scrim, but he stayed focused. He was very positive, and it kept the team going, and we ended up, I think, winning that scrim.
Yeah,
In
you
the
did.
end.
I have also seen a lot of good
Yeah,
things from Ryan in terms of comms.
Yeah, Ryan has definitely been making a big change.
He's had a ton of tremendous growth. That's another guy that when the Vorpal Discord happened, everybody heralded him as like one of the best players in the game, and then he had this huge fall off. Whether it was where he was actually at or if it was just him as a person, but he's had a ton of growth recently as a player and as a person. He actually seems kind of like a leader now almost, which I never thought I would say that for Ryan, but
Almost.
he's getting there. He's still going.
It's a good thing because he's got 2 big noobs in Ace instead on his
yeah,
BHS
especially that
so
Ace guy.
He's gonna really need to step up when you've got Stud and Ace on your team. So good luck, Ryan. I'm rooting for you, but you got a lot of work to do.
I think Doves was saying something.
I mean, he's not wrong, especially with Ace. That guy's goddamn.
Yeah, that guy's just a big noob.
Yeah,
he was a JBA player. What can you do?
Ace.
All those guys that came from JBA are big noobs.
I think since the AVP final, I think Ryan is just in general like that's one guy who's using ranks as a positive motivation. Like his entire motivation for getting better is he wants to hit diamond, and nothing's going to stop him. And he was obviously really close yesterday. He's a bit further away now, but the motivation isn't gone, and he'll get it. Just like Stud got it, he'll get it. So I look forward to that day when he's hit that diamond rank again.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the reasons that I wanted to put the 2v2 ladder in there with the brackets is if you think that you deserve to be in that higher queue, well, get there. That's your time to prove it. If you wanna play in that channel or that bracket, you can work there on your own. It's trying to motivate these players in ranked scrims. Everyone can climb. We've seen a lot of players recently climb up pretty far. So Zemo just got timed out for posting a link.
it deleted
Nightbot
of
deletes links. Sorry.
It deleted all of his chats too.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, I think the 2v2 ladder that was a great idea for the community because when it comes down to it, 4v4s are a bunch of mini battles in itself, and it's a great way to train yourself to win those mini battles. Because I know, like going back to hyping people up during scrim, like if I see a lower tier player kill a higher tier player, or like them do something I've never seen them do before, I always hype them up if I see it, and it keeps the momentum going. And if you consider, the 2v2 area is a great pace to like hone those skills and really excel when you get to rank scrims, the 4v4, because you'll be able to do more. You'll be able to take more battles on. I think being able to take multiple people on at once is a huge deal and helps your team out so much. And if 2v2s will also help you understand the clock, the scrim clock. So hey, wait for that third second or that second to try and finalize the kill, and that's something you could really use to learn how to kill your team so they get kill the opponent so they get long spawn, and just keep incorporating all these things that you learn in 2v2 into the 4v4, and it'll make you a much better player.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you really want to improve as a player, play some 2v2s, record your own POV, and watch it. And
that's
if you want to, you can ask me, or you can ask I don't know who else would be willing to watch some gameplay, but I'm down to do VOD reviews with people. I don't want to do like one with you every single like day, right? But every once in a while, if you have a VOD you want me to go through, I'm happy to sit down and watch it with you. There's plenty of other players that are willing to too.
Helping you with
It's
that
just
totally.
watching it on your own and just looking at like, why did I die in a scenario? Why did we not cap this flag? What have I done wrong here? It's such a good way to practice. I think Rawl
Rawl did a VOD review with Sev.
Sev, yeah. So it's because your fights are so it's all about you. You don't have to worry about all these other different crazy factors. You're just focusing really on your gameplay, and
that honestly can be applied to all VODs though. 2v2s will have more emphasis on it, but you can do it in 4v4s too. If you feel like you've hit a wall, there's something that you can find within your VODs or even while you're playing the game that you're doing wrong and you can change to fit your playstyle. Whether it's a bad habit, playing too aggressive, playing too slow, playing a scenario incorrectly because of, like you didn't act on his debt being thrown on the ground because you saw his arrow flash or something like that. There's all sorts of small things within the game that you can change that I myself have been working on a lot lately, which also helps you because you'll be focusing on yourself and how you're playing your scenarios as opposed to, oh, I'm winning or losing a scrim. Keeps your mentality up. Good stuff.
I just want to hop in real quickly too, and one thing you can do is even when you're this is kind of a throwback to the GameSpy days. Is one of the things that I used to do before we were doing VODs and stuff was spectating people. So watching streams of good players and picking up on things that they're consistently doing, and then watching things that other players are doing against them that they're taking advantage of. So this is something a little shout out to Rawl then. Back in 1.0 in the GameSpy days, he would come back and he'd walk around on a pub server and just destroy a bunch of people. And I realized, I was like, okay, I'm not ever effectively killing him. So I went into spectator mode, and I just spectated him. And I just watched him. And I was like, watching what he was doing, what he was taking advantage of other players, and then what he was doing specifically that I knew I wasn't doing. There's all sorts of things you can learn from VOD reviews of yourself as well to see your own mistakes, but then also watching other people and seeing how they're taking advantage of your mistakes makes a huge difference. And that's how I grew a lot as a player, was watching other people. Like if I started like when Widowmaker or whoever, when they were farming me, I spectated them. And I was like, okay, what is he doing? Why is he kicking my ass? And I mean, watch Sev or watch any other top player. Watch Doves. Doves kind of does some dumb W key stuff sometimes, so maybe don't watch Doves. But
There's always a
But watch
method behind my
Dubs. Watch
madness.
Dubs. I mean,
Doesn't
there's
always work out.
there's tons of top players that they're gonna take advantage of certain things that other players do, and they will punish you for it. So if you're doing the same thing again and again, you need to recognize that in your own VOD reviews. And another player like Dove's watching will definitely point that out to you, or any top player will be able to point that out to you. So it makes a huge difference. So definitely consider that.
Another big thing is just to take words to heart, like us talking about this today, or when you get a VOD review or something. Like, take what's being told to you to heart, as opposed to letting it go in one ear and out the other, if that makes sense.
Or taking it personally.
That's
It's not
also,
personal.
yeah, don't take it personal.
I mean, if you're going to say things personally, you probably shouldn't get a VOD review.
Yeah,
But,
true.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to add on this? Talk about? Examine?
There's one thing I wanted to actually bring up was kind of in terms of ISO's retirement. Like, how many times have we've heard a lot of people say that they're retiring stuff, and sometimes all you need is just a little bit of a break from the game, whether that's a day, whether that's a week, whether that's a month, whether that's a year. I wouldn't say anybody ever needs to like officially retire from the game. If you want to do that, that's fine. Like, that's up to you. But I would just say if you're not having fun playing this game, just take some time off. Doesn't have to be long. It can be as long as you want it to be. If this game is just frustrating you, you can take a day off. You can take a scrim off. You can take a week off. There's a lot of times that's really all you need to just kind of give yourself a mental reset.
I just want to say something to back it up. The Renvar and our tournament match where I went 12-2, guys, that was off a 3-day break because of work and other commitments. I didn't have time to play the game. But it also meant that I came into the match with a completely fresh mind and nothing like weighing me down from any previous times playing the game. So sometimes breaks are the best thing you can ever do.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. I have regular breaks all the time, and it helps to reset mental.
I've told multiple people it's this game, like, there's no glory in winning a scrim, right? You can come into a ranked scrim, you win the scrim, and what's the difference between whether you won the scrim or you lost the scrim? There's really nothing. Like, if you're not having fun in this game, there's not much of a reason to play. Like, obviously you still want to be competitive in ranked scrims and stuff like that, but make sure that you're having fun at the same time. And if you're not, then I would just say just take some time off, or maybe go hit up some pub servers. Play some Rocket and Pub can always be a nice way to mental reset yourself, to have some fun. Find some nice like mod maps that some of the Game Toast guys made. There's some really cool ones out there, and it's a game that we play that's really old, and whether you win a tournament or you lose a normal scrim, it's really no different. So just make sure that you're having fun, that you're enjoying yourself.
I gotta agree with Mutane that Sean and Mutane have the best rivalry. You guys are constantly flaming each other. You have to be in BFH to see that.
True.
I think we've covered all of our bases. I think we've done a lot of talking on this. We're about an hour and 20 minutes in, getting close there. I guess we can do questions now, unless anybody has any parting thoughts.
Too many questions, so probably won't.
I think we've
won't take too long.
monologued enough.
All right. The first question is for Yoda specifically. It comes from the giver of the Pookie Player of the Match award. Pookie asks, "What mic does Yoda have?" Villain emoji.
I have the Blue AX.
I told you guys. I literally put it in the chat.
Yeah.
There you go. If you want to sound like Yoda, go buy a Blue Yeti. Shameless plug.
If you want to sound like Yoda, go live in England for a while.
Yeah, I
think you have to be born there.
You don't have to be born there. You can pick up an accent.
You definitely can. I can vouch for that. What newer player? This is Zemo. What? Well, actually, we'll start with Fluffy. This is a question. What is up? So, what is up, guys? Anything new?
The sky.
Same response.
All right.
But newer player.
All right.
The sky.
We'll talk about Zemo's question now. What newer player, not from the old days, do you think would have been an absolute unit if they had played in the past?
Define not from the old days.
I guess GameSpy days?
I guess
Yeah.
Ace
Zemo
for
is in
me,
chat.
but he did play
Ace is
back
from
then.
GameSpy, bud.
Yeah, Zemo,
Yeah, I know,
Zemo can
but he-
talk about it.
He didn't learn much.
Does
'cause he was
PS2
game
count?
I
Yes.
guess-
So I'd say OB. Kekby.
Apparently, there's a lot of people saying Hoodie
There's-
would be a unit.
There's a lot of people that could be. I'd say Quab, Pokey. I mean,
Does
we've
playing
seen a lot of
Jedi
guys
count?
that are just.
Wait, would an absolute? I guess Zemo was a good shout for himself, honestly.
But he played in
There wasn't-
GameSpy.
Wait, did Zemo play in GameSpy?
Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah, he was in GameSpy.
Oh.
Does playing
He was in
Jedi
the
does playing Jedi only in
Oh, right, he
GameSpy
was.
count?
Oh, actually, Mutane played in GameSpy, actually.
Kratos has a ton of experience from PS2, Wolvie. Kratos is probably heralded as the best PS2 player.
I think did Mutane play PS2?
No, that's just a meme. But he did play on PC back in the day.
No.
He just didn't. He
man.
only played in pubs.
It's actually hard to find people that didn't play on at some point in GameSpy.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
everybody's flaming Kratos now. My bad.
I
My bad.
was gonna say best NA PS2 player.
Yeah, I guess I should have said that, yeah. Anyway. Bushy, weird champ.
I mean, Adestra was on PS2 as well, right?
Yes, he was.
He was on PC also.
Yeah, it's just hard to find players that haven't played on.
Did Crude
Right,
play
okay.
GameSpy?
Yes.
Yeah, according to him, he did, yes. So I guess the most nominations so far have been Hoodie. Pookie says he hasn't. There's a nomination, too.
Yeah, Pookie would probably be cracked.
Yeah, absolutely
The
disgusting.
floor.
A true gamer.
Orb and Pookie, yeah.
Okay.
People who didn't play in any competitive sense.
Of old BF2.
Wow, we're
I
gonna
guess-
have to do some real soul searching here.
Well, I mean, technically, Ace didn't play in any competitive sense, and that
yeah.
kid's cracked.
And neither did Zemo.
Yeah.
I have to give it to them too then.
Never year. I think Never Year would be really good if he actually played the game.
Also a Jedi player,
often.
like myself.
But yeah, he was a
Yeah,
Steam
technically,
baby.
his is an infant as far as infantry goes.
Like,
Is
I
Jedi
think-
playing the game though, guys? Is it?
No, he played. He
I
didn't
mean,
play in
it's a different
GameSpy. He
game,
didn't
but-
play in GameSpy at all. He played No Force, and then I brought him into BCL, and then he played with us for a little bit, and then he went to speedrunning and modding. So
Yeah, I came from Jedi. I didn't play Jedi till Steam started, or play infantry till Steam started.
I think if Never Year put more time into it, because I think relative to his skill level and time played, I think he's actually
I agree with that.
pretty insane.
I agree with that. Next question from KJC_Dave. Can Yoda rate each of the BFH staff members out of 10 in terms of usefulness?
Oof.
They're
About
all
Star
a 10
Wars.
out of 10, Cayman.
Except for Obi.
Yeah, except for OV.
Next from Zemo again. Most improved player over the past few weeks, months of ranked scrimming.
Ranked
Holy
scrimming.
fuck. We actually have 3 from him. This is just the start.
The past few weeks, I think you have to say stud.
Yeah, I think despite all of the improvement Quabity has made, Stud is overshadows too, unfortunately, because Stud is just shot up.
To be fair, a lot of that is just shaking off rust, but
Yeah.
the amount of improvement that he's made has been pretty insane.
Just want to
So-
say that man is absolutely cracked on NG for 80 ping. It is disgusting.
I mean, I saw him in public in Amsterdam recently on 150 ping, and he was doing insane. I know that's pub, but still.
Who put Gator? Vishy.
Not me.
Shout out Vishy, thank you. Appreciate you. Predictions for who will improve the most.
Bob.
Yeah, I think we can stick with Quab. Quab's been on a steady upward trend, I think. I don't think
He
he's
has the desire.
stagnated. I don't
Yeah,
think
he's
Yeah, I
really
think
motivated to
Quab's a
improve.
good shot. I think a lot of the people in that bronze newcomer 2v2.
You know what?
Stormy, Hoodie, Pookie, I think are all good shots too.
I think it actually is a good thing to give a shout out to those guys. That everybody was kind of trying to get that, especially Stormy and Luna, and I think Gadestri, yeah, maybe a little bit. We're trying to get that going. Now there's a very active little small group that plays there every day, and it's really cool to see how you guys play with each other every single day. But yeah, I think Co-op you could give it to, for sure. And if I would love to see Hoodie start playing rank scrims. I don't know if she ever will, but.
Yeah, the last time I played against Stormy, he did really well too. He's also on Ice. Convinced.
Yeah,
him to
he
go to
just converted to mouse
I
and
believe.
keyboard. Yeah,
So-
he's scary.
Because he played on Xbox, right? So he knows how the game works and all that stuff like that.
Is Hoodie
so
from
he just gotta-
speedrunning?
No.
No.
Hoodie watched a bunch of streams and stuff like that, but I think she was more just a spectator,
Okay.
I believe.
The last question, if this will be a fun one. Predictions for who will crumble.
Definitely Vandetta. That guy's a big noob.
Definitely me. If I keep seeing dubs above me in the rank ladder scrim, I'm definitely gonna kill myself.
Yeah, true.
Whoa!
I think, Apple will crumble. The next question, again from Zemo. What is the exact proper way to pronounce Mutane? Which I think only he can say that, and he is not in voice.
Yeah, no idea. He's told me lots of times. I can't say it. I give up.
It's Muttony.
I think it's Mutane.
I thought it was.
He even typed it in chat. MEWTAN.
It's like
Is he still in-
Mutane or something like that. But
Is he still in chat? Could he say it? Like spell it out?
he'll be in chat.
Oh,
there
he's
he
just
is.
putting a lol.
Yeah.
Mutany? Really?
Tony.
Mutane.
No, that's for Wolvie.
Mutane, join a voice channel and we'll move you in really quickly, and then you can say it on.
I want to at
stream.
least hear it because everybody says I
We'll
don't
clip
do it
it.
right.
Yeah, I need like a
Join us.
soundboard so I can just play
Join
it
us,
when I'm about
Mutane.
to say his
Come
name.
on, I want to hear it just once, Mutane. Come on, come on.
Come on, boy. Come on.
Fetch the stick.
BK,
Give it a treat. Come on, buddy.
Even if you say it, no one's gonna be able to pronounce it. consistently.
Use Finnish Google Translate. Good point. I might do that after this. See what that says. Slender. Opinions about the 2-on-2 scrims. People awesome.
Oh, Mutane's here.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Welcome.
Mutane.
What the fuck?
Mutane.
All right,
We
Mutane,
were asked.
say it.
It's Mutane.
Mutane. So I was saying it right.
Mutane.
Oh,
Mutane.
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 I mean, I don't think anyone who's not Finnish can pronounce it in the same way as a Finn would. It still sounds pretty weird, even if someone does say it.
Mutane.
Mutane.
To be fair, the Spanish guys played an Inflex and an Eider. They pronounced it really well. Something about the Spaniards, they know how to do it.
All right. Well,
Yeah, they're good with their tongue.
there you go, Zemo. It's been mentioned. That is how you pronounce Mutane.
Now go away, Mutane.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Good luck, have fun.
Now I can call you
I was just kidding,
Muttony in
but-
every scrim, or every cast.
All right, let's talk about it. 2-on-2 scrims. What's the opinion here? What's the thoughts?
You mean like a ranked ladder or what? Like,
No, like the current ones we have in the BCL.
Oh.
What's the opinions?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, the reason I made 2-on-2, well, honestly, I was hoping to do something like the longest time I've been wanting to do something for bronze only stuff, like so that they could have some scrims without, having getting farmed the entire time, which sounds kind of toxic, but it's a little bit true.
Accurate, yeah.
And then Bester messaged me once and was like, "What would you think about a 2v2 tournament for bronze, silver only?" And I was like, "Well, I've been meaning to do something like that." And then I came up with the ladder instead of a tournament because I thought it was a little it would work for everybody. And it was just a good way to get practice with people around your skill level, because we've all played scrims where one guy on the team is 20-5 and the other guy on the team is 5-20. So just having those scrims where people are a little bit closer, I think is just good for everybody. And I think it's really good practice. Even if people were a little farther off, I think it'd just be really good practice. So yeah, I think it's really good. I hope that, I guess the gold queue has been a little bit quiet. No, I think they actually have the most players. I'm not sure. Maybe now the newcomers have more, but yeah, I think if you want to get good practice in, if you're looking for just a quick team, it's a good place to go. Yeah, gold would rather ranked, but there's also weekdays where there's no ranked. So
I think the biggest difference that Slender's talking about touch on, but I think the biggest difference is individual. Like it's really on the individual a lot more than it is like on your team, because 2-on-2 there's only 2 people. Your life means a lot more.
yeah. I think your
Yeah, no,
mistakes
so-
are really highlighted in 2-on-2s. Because like in a 4v4, if you over aggress, sometimes you'll just get 1v2 and you can be like, oh yeah, I just got 1v2 there. There's nothing I could do. Where it's like, well, actually, even if you didn't get 1v2, you were being way too aggressive here. You pushed into this guy when you know he's got a det ready, and it really wasn't about whether there's another guy there. It's just you made a bad play, and in a 2-on-2, you can expose that a lot better. And
Yeah,
it's
and
good,
in
good practice.
particular, if you mess up in a 2v2 and you do it at the wrong time, they could just score straight off that. Like you don't have your team sort of behind you, like helping mop up your mistakes. But I mean, the thing that I really like about it is, as you guys have said, obviously it's focusing on yourself more and about the timer and so on. But I think also just splitting it up into silver and bronze, silver, gold, and so on. Like you're playing against your peers, like the people. I've had this debate with Obi before about who should you be scrimming against? Should you just scrim against like the best players, the best team, and just keep going until you just get battered every time, but eventually you improve. I always think it's better to go against people that are around your level and to try and think about what the best play was, and then to try and overcome them and then improve that way, rather than just sort of, maybe you want to go like slightly above your level. But I think if you try and aim too far above you, and if certainly in rank scrims when you're against players like Sev, Runaway, and so on, how much can you realistically learn from playing against them all the time? Whereas if you play against people who are more your level, you can start to think about their mistakes and start to take advantage of them and things like that. And as long as you keep an open mind, you won't get stuck in the just trying to abuse people that don't have as good understanding as say the top level players. But I think that's a big thing for me. That's why I like the system.
I put that in suggestions in because this channel is going to get deleted when the show's done. I think Wolvie put it also in a really good paragraph for it. I think it's been a lot of good for a lot of people. It's really fun watching the silver, bronze, and newcomer channel be active later on in the night, and you see like 6 to 8 people all scrimming. Whereas before, to scrim, you'd have to play with people of all ranks, and I think that was the number one complaint about the rank system for the longest time, is that there is no segregation in the ranks. You have to play with everything, and it's good that 2v2 allows for that. Let's see. The next question, or at least Quabuti wants us to talk about it, which I said we would. Talk about dodging the 4th map when the scrim is clinched. I also saw Kratos say something about matches. My personal opinion, if it's a competitive match and the match is clinched, it should be over and done with. It's apparently a very small opinion in the world of Battlefront competitive for some reason, even though every single other competitive game does it. But I don't think it's a bad thing for matches to end up if the match is clinched, if people don't want to play. Scrims, however, are a totally different topic. I have always been of the mindset, and I will always be of the mindset, that every single map in a scrim should be played. I always want to play it because it's more time for me to focus on my gameplay and improving as a person and a player, as well as playing with the people that I got queued with. This being said, this was a very heated debate and topic within the staff. If a team wants to stop playing, we can't really. It's a detriment to those 4 players as a whole, regardless of what the winning team thinks, to make them keep playing because there's nothing to be learned from it. They're just tilted, and it's a terrible atmosphere. So, if they don't want to play that 4th map, we can't really make them play it. It's actually kind of detrimental and a bad thing to make them play it.
I mean, we came to a similar conclusion on BFH, and I get your point. Like, if I was playing, I'd want to play all 4 maps as well, because let's say you just got your ass handed to you in the first 3. Well, now you can try and do something on the 4th map, or try and focus on yourself or something. But the issue that I've seen on BFH is that people just start to troll in the final map, or there's arguments. There's more likely to have arguments. You might get one guy like quitting. Then what do? Do you say, right, that's a rage quit? Then it just creates a lot of issues, I think. And at the end of the day, I mean, even if you look at, say, League of Legends, which is the only other game that I'm know about that much, in Korean solo queue, which I wouldn't say like this is like Korean solo queue, our community, but you do get people that as soon as they've lost the game, they just say like, let's go next, just forfeit the game and move on. And I think there are times where for everyone's mental, that's just the better thing to do. If it's a close game and you've only just lost and it's going into the final map, I can see it. I think people should really try and play that last map out, and some people do. But if you're just getting absolutely ruined and you're like 9 flags down going into the last map, I just don't think there's anything to be gained from playing that. Like, the winning team's just gonna win again. They might be playing against people that are tilted, who are trolling, who are using,
there's a lot of rocket troopers.
Yeah, exactly.
It may be more common because it's been like officially allowed. People are now allowed to do it.
This was why we allowed it, though, because it was already happening. That's at least my experience in BFH.
And I think also the most times I see it, the scrims are one-sided. There's a couple instances I can think of off the top of my head that they weren't one-sided, but the majority that I have seen, scrims are already one-sided, like that the team had lost dramatically. So I don't think it's a bad thing if the team wants to stop playing necessarily. I think that if you're not focusing on playtime, then it's probably something you should do. I don't know.
I mean, the whole point of us as like community moderators and staff here is to keep people interested, having a good time in the community, and to stay in the community. So if you're getting dumpstered, like, most people aren't going to want to play that 4th map. Like, there's nothing that really incentivizes anybody to keep playing that. So I don't think we should force people into that. If the whole team decides, let's play 4th map, then you can play 4th map. But we just want everybody to, ultimately, we're supposed to be making sure everybody's having a good time.
Yeah.
Quab raises in the chat, he feels like it's happening more often. I would say it does seem to be happening more often, at least on BFH. I don't know about BCL. My theory for that is that people, I think it's more to do with not the game and the community, but just general pandemic, tiredness and fatigue and not being able to go out and do different things. At least that's my feeling on it, that the last few months, there've been more issues, more arguments and things like that. I don't know what your take would be, but
I mean, again, I said earlier, I think it's another combination of it being allowed, and then it's only been on one-sided scrims for the majority I've seen. It's only been one-sided scrims. People say they don't want to play the 4th map. So
yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, if it's a close match, I usually want to play the 4th.
Yeah, I think from the ranked scrims, it's okay to leave the 4th map if it's over. But if it's the tournament, if like it's the group stages, then don't leave, because if you guys count total flags, like if there's a draw or anything like that, and points or whatever, the next category to see who would actually be first place would be flags, right? So, or something along those lines to try and
plus experience as a team.
Yeah, it's also good to get practice with your team. But I can see all the sides.
I mean, I get why SI left. I mean, they got absolutely completely destroyed. It wasn't their strongest lineup. There was a server crash, and someone disconnected and that to restart the map. I mean, it's still in that position I personally would have wanted to play on, but I can understand why they didn't want to.
That's also why I advocated majority of my sentences. Yes, there have been instances, Vishy, where close scrims have ended, but the majority have been one-sided.
Hi, somebody.
And I could maybe share. Yes, I haven't messaged you that yet. Well, I think I could hear ya, because I think a lot of people here could give input and thoughts on it as well. Ben's left. Where the hell did Ben go?
He's got to go.
Oh yeah, that's right. He told me he had to go. So to me, people look at Conquest, and at its base of a game mode, it is a lot of one-on-ones and vying for map control in those one-on-ones, and I think that is just people looking at the game mode at face value and not looking the game mode in depth instead. I think that there is a lot more to be said about Conquest than it's just individual one-on-ones and individual performance. I think there's a lot of understanding the map, there's a lot of understanding when you need to help your team, and I think there's also a lot of understanding that with the pressure you apply and where. Because I see a lot of people when we, just to start with map understanding, that they go to bases that you don't need to be taking those bases. Like we could talk about CP3 on Mustafar, Renvar CP4. Any base that is desynced from the map in a sense, like it's cut off from the map and it's also on the low ground, you typically don't want to go take it, but I see a lot of people going to do that. Now there is an argument for bleed at some points where you do want to take it, but the majority of the time what you're looking to do is try and trap the team there. As opposed to taking those bases. And I see this from high tier players, I see this from mid tier players, and I see this from low tier players, that they make this mistake often, that they go to those bases and then they're disconnected from the enemy team for from the fight for a long time, taking that base, and your team suddenly loses all the pressure. You might be the team that ends up getting trapped at those bases.
Yep.
So I think that understanding the map, what bases you need to take, and where you need to be on the map is big for Conquest. It's absolutely huge for Conquest, and I think a lot of people don't really look at that at face value. They instead focus on the fact that they're doing good in the KD department while the rest of their team is struggling.
Also,
go ahead, Dev. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think one of the times when we're casting matches for CQ, and it's like, we say that one team just rolled the other. The team was sticking together, like they weren't splitting up and going for 1v1s. It was
exactly
the team that just rolled. They were sticking together. They were playing 2v1s. Like if they lost a CP on the outside of the map, that's fine for them. And so I think it's less about those 1v1s than people make it out to be. I think that's just an easy kind of excuse sometimes.
There's a time.
There's just the 1v1s.
There's a time in Conquest where you need to be the guiding force, where you're 1v1ing, 1v2ing, 1v3, and there's also times when you need to understand that you need to help your team. I think that people don't understand how much rotations on the map in Conquest are huge. Like, they're massive. They're like, when I start on a Mustafar Conquest and I'm like, let's say Rebels with 2 and 5, the guy that spawns 5 by himself, I'm always like, hey, I'm going to be fading towards your side. If you see 2 people call it out, I'm going to rotate and help you. And then that's just it. And it may not be that there's 2 people there. I may not have to help him at all, but it's the small stuff like that where you understand that you need to go help your team that can change a Conquest map for you. There's a ton of players that I watch that when they spawn in, they go from CP2 straight to ramp. The guy on 5 is left in a 1-on-2, which is usually the mid to lower tier player, and he's dead. It's not necessarily his fault he lost the base, but it's kind of painted that way. He did what he could in a 1-on-2, and he's left with the short end of the stick. There's another example on Renvar from our match versus Neil Before the Crown. We rotated between 6, 2, and 0 very effectively. We were always helping each other out. Dubs was, I didn't really help him out, but I came to CP2 and Dubs was 1v1ing Sparks, and we got that base in the end despite the fact I laid a debt at Dubs' feet. But yeah, it's just people high and mid tier, I think when they play Conquest, look at Conquest as, I'm winning all these fights, but I'm still losing anyway. And I think that you just have to understand that sometimes it's not about taking all those bases. It's about rotating to help your weakest link. It's about controlling a certain part of the map so that your weaker links can spread out. It's people don't really look at Conquest in depth as a mode. They just look at it and go, hey, this is not as fun as CTF because I can't carry on it. And there is...
But you can carry on Conquest.
Yeah, you can. You can carry very easily on Conquest. And I think it's something that's to be said for the mode as a whole.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I think Conquest has a lot more strategy. I would say it's more strategic and more about team play than Capture the Flag is, for sure. But the issues that I have with it isn't so much the actual mode itself. It's more how you actually score the actual scrims when you've got a mix between Conquest and CTF, and that seems to be, at least on BFH, that seems to be the focus of people's complaints about it. Do you just go to map score? Do you have map score and then flags? Because I think and also the other issue is that we play Conquest without specials. And so it becomes a pick where you can deny players from being able to play special troopers. And you can also, so you can pick Conquest and then you can change the way that the whole scoring system works. So you can lose 6-0 on CTF, but you can still draw the game 2-2. Just by winning your 2 maps, even if they were close games. And I think that's more the issue that I find people raising about Conquest. Although, there are definitely people who say it's just a coin flip. It's just about winning your first fight and so on. But that's something that I struggle with, and it's something that staff at the moment on BFH are talking about, how to actually score the games when you've got a mix of.
I personally talking from my point of view, I think that everything should be scored by maps. There isn't in any other competitive game mode that is not scored by maps. There's rounds within the maps that decide the map, but the map is the ultimate decider of the series. I also think that it's really dumb to decide what is fun and what is not based off classes, because everything is a different play style.
I'm not saying fun. I'm just saying
no. I'm not talking about you specifically. I think that goes for a lot of players that say that because you can't play specials or it's a 4v4 Ingy Fest that it's not as fun. I don't think that's true at all. I think that's kind of dumb within my point of view about the game. But I also have very eccentric views, I guess, because I also think that most of the maps in our map pools are fine, and I don't mind playing any of them. So if I won 3 CTFs, won and lost the last 3, yes, that would be a draw, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yes, that would be a draw because it's overall 3-3.
But then on your system, they would win. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it?
But that's the same thing for our system right now, because those are 2 CTF maps. CTF maps right now are decided by flags for us.
Oh no, but sorry, I'm saying like if we did it by maps, which I think is an interesting point, right? Whether it should be scored by maps just for everything, like in the other games. Then like is it right for you to lose 3 maps but then draw the game? I don't know. That's kind of the counterpoint to flag scoring.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is like there's advocates for every single thing about why a system is broken. The big problem within our community as a whole is everybody prefers the way something's done, therefore they think it's better.
And they view things through the perspective of, I don't like Conquest, so how can I get rid of Conquest?
Yeah, I don't like 4v4 NG, therefore the mode is bad. It's just a thing that is very common within our community as a whole. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that's super common. That's why I have said before in DMs to people that we're not a true like tournament organizer group or staff group, because we all have personal opinions on things because we play the game. If you watch like League or R6, CSGO, the guys that decide how that's done is both the devs and staff of people that don't actually have any stake on how the game's played, because they might play the game at a mid-tier level, but they don't play it at a super high level. So that's a big thing. Yeah, Vichy's an exception.
Back in the day on PS2, we just scored everything by maps. We used to play Conquest and CTF, and it was just all done by maps. You play 5 maps, and it would just be a best of 5.
Yeah, but so then
I find it weird coming into PC and it being like, if you play all 4 CTF, then it's just done by flags. I found that really strange at first.
But then on top of that, the best of 5 was through you played 1 faction per map, which everybody says is unfair as well. So,
yeah. That's why we had Death Star capture the flag as the like neutral map.
1 hour
Yeah,
DS,
thank you.
yeah.
And then we played it twice, and it was like a 60-minute time. Yeah. Anyway, let's stop
How
talking
you
about
guys how you guys came up
PS2.
with Death Star CTF being a neutral map is also beyond me.
Well, it was like because it was so like lacking of scoring, you know, like.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. Then it became like Death Star Catch the Flag ×2 and Mustafar CTF, and I don't know. It was messed up. Not optimal.
The stuff that went down on PS2 back in the day just sometimes blows my mind.
You've to be fair, Dubs, you've blown a lot of people's minds with the A tier Wookiee, so.
as a supporter of that one, I must be the only one in the community.
But
Yoda,
to like,
Yoda agrees with me on the A tier Wookiee. I'll expose him to the world.
S plus Darky and S Wookiee, just to like make it even a bit better.
I can live with S plus Darky and S Wookiee. I can live with that.
okay, there we go. We found a compromise.
I just don't think that Wookiee and Darky should be on the same tier, but that's a conversation for
Yeah, let's not have that one again.
Maybe we'll
Another day.
revisit it. You know, we'll bring it back up with some other guests or something at some point.
Maybe I'll make a vid explaining my thoughts in more detail.
See, but to summarize Quab, I think that it's just a super different style of play, but I do not think it's any more less team play than CTF. In fact, I would almost argue Conquest has more team play because you have to understand when to help your team and when to not, as opposed to you're just pushing together as a team on CTF for the most part, aside from the arena pushes and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I mean the most I think people like CTF more because you have to coordinate as 4 people. But the thing that a lot of people don't take into account with Conquest is you need to be sectioning off into 2v2s and almost like separate squads. You need to be able to. You are working as a 4-man team, but sometimes you're pairing off, and there's a lot of comms that should be happening.
just like there was a ranked scrim I played with Zach, I think it was last week or the week before, where we played Italia Conquest, and that was some of the most fun communication I've ever had in my life. Me and Zach were playing together very well. We were communicating great. We would go help people where we needed to help people. We would split off if we needed to. Like we did everything. It was a very tight scrim too, because I think we were against Doves and Stud, and we ended up losing. But it was a lot of fun because it was just. There was very crisp and clear communication between us and our team, and we knew where to go to help each other. That's the biggest thing about Conquest, is just understanding where you need to go on the map, and that doesn't just come from you, that also comes from your team. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the biggest fun to me about Conquest, is working with your team to win the map, because there is so much more to Conquest than there is to CTF.
Yeah. And comms are so much more important at all times on Conquest. Like if you lose a fight in Italia on CP3 and they're getting CP3, I need to know that, because it helps. You have so many more locations that you can spawn. So you need to be able to anticipate where they're going to move on the map next. If they're capping 3, they're probably going to be pushing to 4, or they'll send a straggler down to CP1. So you need to anticipate that, and it's spawn probably CP4, and basically cut that off. And if your comms aren't there, no one's going to be there in time. It's just there's so much more to pay attention to listen to, and to work with as a team that I think people really don't take advantage of, which is why if I have a good comms team, I know that Conquest is going to go well, because I know they're going to be giving me the info. I can tell people where to spawn. I can spawn there myself, and I can anticipate, hey, I need you to go to CP blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be pushing this. Let me know how many people you have there. And if the person actually tells me, hey, I have 2 players on CP3, I can go, okay, stall out. I'm on my way.
Yeah, exactly.
If Dylan tells me he's got 1v2 on CP3, I'm just like, good luck, buddy.
And this is why I went into you on Java's CQ yesterday.
That's awkward.
But I do agree the inconsistencies are kind of annoying, but I also don't think that you can realistically say a ticket deficit is the same as a flag deficit. So I think that's
too many issues.
So I think that's something we'll probably struggle with for a while unless we become purely one game mode. Like I said, I would play this game still if it was purely CTF. I'd be disappointed because I think Conquest brings a lot to this game. But yeah, I understand the inconsistencies can be annoying for sure. But I also think if you take time to learn and play the different styles of play between CTF and Conquest, it may not be as annoying to you because you'll still do as well in either game mode and eventually start winning regardless of what people pick against you. So
yeah, I think the biggest problems with why people don't enjoy Conquest is kind of how long it takes to cap a CP and then how long to charge it up and just how the map can end quickly. But I mean, I think that's a small part of the game mode. I guess it's maps can definitely end quickly, but it's not the norm. So I've even seen tons of CQs go full time and stuff like that. So it's definitely not as bad as people say it is. I understand not liking hard capping a CP, just sitting there for an extra 11 seconds.
Yeah. I think that could even be something you communicate though. If your teammate's dead, sit there for like 5 seconds, cap it, tell them to spawn there, finish hard capping for you.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
But we are reaching 2 hours. I think we've covered about anything we wanted to cover with the topics, questions, what's been brought up. Appreciate you guys that have turned in to watch. We had 30 viewers at one point. I don't know if that's still the case because I don't have it up on Twitch, but
They're playing a rank screen, so we lost a few.
But truly, thank you guys for watching. We might start doing this consistently again. I don't know. That just depends on where I'm at and where Dubs is at and all that stuff.
Also, BHF tournament will be, kind of conflicting.
BHF, huh?
TBH
FH,
tournament.
whatever.
Yeah, it'd be TBH, yeah.
Yoda's tournament.
But yeah, we'll have a special guest next time we do this for sure. I know at one point I want to do a deal with Bear here and Raul so that they can talk about C and all that stuff. Shout out to Raul, by the way. He has also put in questions for the show. He was willing to do VOD reviews for anybody that wants to hit him up on Discord. There you go. If you need somebody to do VOD reviews, you got Doves, Raul. I'm sure there's some other people that would be willing to. Just reach out and talk to them. See if they want to do it for you. Ace has done some for Quabity. There you go. We will call it there, boys. Thanks, Quab. Actually might have a new overlay next time. I've been toying around with ideas for that. But we'll call it there. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Yoda, for being here. Thanks to Vin, who is no longer here, for being here. And we will see you next time.